In this video, we're going to be going over one of the most important skills you can have to get your finances in check, which is knowing how to negotiate. So I'm going to give you all of the tips that I know and take you through the 4-step plan to use in any negotiation when you're trying to get the price of an item down. Whether it's a car, electronics, whatever it is, you'll learn in this video how to negotiate it down. Hi, I'm Erika. I'm a lawyer, and this channel is all about personal finance. Today is going to be all about how to negotiate down the price of an item. This is super important. Negotiating is a skill that's often overlooked, but it's going to be really important for your finances, whether it's negotiating down the price of an item or negotiating up your salary. So today we'll focus on the negotiating down, and this is quite recent in my mind because this month I had to make 2 big purchases, a couch and an air conditioner. And using these negotiating tips and skills that I'll teach you later on in this video, I saved about $2,000. So here we go. I've broken this down into 3 parts. The first is before you even go to the store or dealership, the legwork that you need to do. The second part is once you're at the store or dealership, the kind of prep work that you're going to do. And the third part is the actual fun part, the negotiations. So the first phase is this before you even go to the store. 2 things that are really important to do here. The first is you have to do your research. In the legal world, we call this the diligencing. You have to diligence the item. So you want to find out, let's say you want to buy a computer and you're looking to negotiate the price down for that. So for the computer, you want to figure out, well, is a new model coming out soon? Because that could affect the price. Or what are the different price points at all these different locations? So for a computer, my first thing would be look online, see what it's going for online. Look on Best Buy online, look at Kmart, look at Walmart, everything. Go down the list and figure out what are the different price points that all these different stores are selling it at. The goal here is just to gather as much information as you possibly can because this information could be leverage for you. For example, if you find out that a new model is coming out in 2 months, well, the stores are going to be more inclined to sell at a lower price point since they're trying to get rid of that inventory before the new model comes in. The second thing you want to do before you even walk into the store is figure out what your price point is. What is the price at which you'd be willing to pay for the item? So if it's a $1,000 item, the sticker price, maybe your price point is $800. And if you walk in there and through the negotiations, they give you $800, you'll buy it. But if they only come down to $850, you won't buy it. The thing is, it's really important to set this price. Otherwise, in the negotiations, it's very easy for you to kind of lose track of it and get so into the negotiating process that you end up feeling like you've gotten a great deal at $850. So it's really important to figure out from the beginning, before you even set foot in that place, what that price point is for you. Now you've done the legwork and you are ready to walk into that store. The first thing you want to do when you walk into the store is to find the person with the most authority. So the person with the most authority, it could be very obvious, so they could be wearing name tags with their positions, or it could not be so obvious and you'll have to figure it out yourself. When it's not so obvious, then I tend to find that the best way to figure out how much authority they have in the place is just by figuring out how much they know about the product that you're looking at. If they tend to know a lot, then chances are they've been there a while and probably have more seniority than someone who doesn't have the answers to the nitty-gritty questions that you're asking. And sometimes if I find that the person I'm talking to doesn't know that much about the item, then I say thank you, and then I walk around the store and then come around again to try to find a different employee to speak to. The reason it's important to figure out the person with the most authority is because they're going to be the most likely to be able to give you a good deal on the product that you want. Now that you're speaking to the person with the most authority, the next thing you want to do is figure out what he or she knows about the product, especially looking into the future. One of the questions I always ask is this product going on sale anytime soon? And if they say that it is going on sale, let's say in a week or 2 weeks, then that's great because you want to make sure that you return when the sale is happening, because then your negotiations are a lot more likely to be successful because you're starting off from a lower price point, that sale price point. Also, this might seem obvious, but while you're doing these initial questions and talking before the actual negotiations begin, make some small talk. You really want the person to like you and feel like they want to go out of their way to help you. And the best way to do that is just to be a nice person. The last thing you want to do is to be hostile or aggressive or just seem like you want to snap and get a good deal. And now before we get into the fun stuff, the actual negotiating process, there is one more thing you need to sneak into there somewhere in that small talk conversation. That is, you need to sneak in there that you are not the person with the decision-making authority. Let me explain this one because I've actually only started using this technique from maybe about a year ago, and it has really dramatically increased my success rates for negotiating prices down on items. The way it works is your husband or wife or partner is the final decision-making authority, and you're just there kind of as a representative trying to get the deal on their behalf. And the reason I think it works so well is because it's kind of like the classic good cop, bad cop. You become the good cop, and your husband, wife, or partner, or mom or dad becomes the bad cop. And that way, the seller or the employee sides with you kind of because they understand that you're not the one giving them these crazy, aggressive prices that you're trying to get. It's this person on the other end of the phone that's really the bad cop. Okay, so now you know that you're speaking to the person with authority. You've snuck in there somewhere that you are not the person with authority, and you figured out what else they know about upcoming sales or anything. You are ready to jump into the negotiations, which I've broken up into 4 steps. Step 1 is you want them to give you their best price. Can you just let me know, what's your best price on this item? What's the lowest you can go for me? Just like that. You want to make sure that the ball is in their court first and they are giving you their best price first. Otherwise, it'll completely mess up the negotiation. They might try to turn it around on you and say, well, what price would work for you? But you want to make sure that you're not going first. Figure out what their lowest price that they can go is. Now that they've given that price, now the ball is in your court. So what you are going to do here is ask for a price that is 20 to 30% lower than you actually wanted. The reason you do this is because in a negotiation, everyone wants to feel like they're meeting halfway. But if you start your lowball offer at 20 to 30% below what you actually wanted, then eventually what will happen is they'll feel like you've met halfway, but really they've come down to what you actually want because you lowballed something that was 20 to 30% below what you actually wanted. So both parties walk away really happy. The key with this is you have to do it with a straight face. I know you're going to feel ridiculous, you're going to feel like it's such a crazy offer and you're being judged for it, you're going to feel cheap, but you just have to keep that straight face. And this will come with practice, but don't worry about it. You're intentionally lowballing, and the key now is just to stick with it. You have to just keep that straight face. Okay, so now you've given your lowball offer that is 20 to 30% below what you actually want. Now the ball is back in their court to see how they counter your offer. So step 3, ball is in their court. You're going to wait for a response from them. So what's likely to happen is in step 1, they already came up with their best, lowest offer that they said. Step 2, you asked for an offer that was 20 to 30% lower than what you actually want. Step 3, likely they're going to come somewhere in between here with their offer. So now that they've given their offer, which isn't as low as your crazy lowball offer, but lower than their initial offer, now is the time to enjoy some silence. If you remember, you mentioned during the small talk segment that you're not the final decision-making authority. So now this is where the silence comes in, because you're going to say, well, thank you for that. I just don't know if my husband's going to go for that, but let me call him and check. Can you just give me 5 minutes and I'll get back to you? Like that. And now you're going to just take this time to call or text your husband or wife or partner, or if you don't have one, then just, pretend. Now we are at step 4, which is what I call final offer or walkout. And whether you give a final offer or walk out at the end of the step 4 is really going to depend upon how far down they were able to come and how close they were able to get to the price point you really wanted it at. And I've done both in these scenarios. Sometimes it's just not even close to what I want, so I end up actually walking away. And sometimes it's close enough that I attempt a final offer, and even if they don't accept that final offer, I take that lowest price that they came down to. For the final offer, if they're pretty close to what I actually want them to be at, this is when I just try to wiggle in the last few $100 or even $100 or a few extra freebies. So if they came down to $1,090, then I want to try to take that last $90. So I say, hi, thanks for the time. Like, I talked to my husband, and is there any chance you'd just be willing to do solid $1,000? If that's the case, I can just pay now. And as you're saying that, pull out your wallet to show that you're actually willing to pay. An alternative to this is just to ask for a few extra freebies, the car mats or an extended warranty. Is there any way you can just sneak the extended warranty into there for me? If that's the case, like, we have a deal, I can pay now. If the price isn't even close to what you want it to be, and you're just not having it, you're not going to get it at that price point, then you need to be prepared to walk away, but you have to walk away in a way that leaves the door open in case you change your mind. Because a lot of times the biggest mistake I see people make is to do a dramatic walk away, and then you've just closed that door of opportunity in case you ever change your mind. When I do walk away, the way I leave the door open is just by saying, hey, I really, really appreciate your offer. Like, that was really generous of you. Unfortunately, it's just more than I can afford right now. Is there any way you can honor that offer for me for the next week while I just go home and spend some time thinking about it? I think walking away in a manner that does not close that door is really important because it shows them that, you know, you really appreciate their generosity, but it's just not at the price point that you can afford right now. But you want that opportunity still open for you for the next week or so while you decide. It's just good to never shut doors in negotiations, but it's also good because you can take that lowest offer, whatever they came down to, and now go shop around with that to different places, different car dealerships, different electronic stores, and say, you know, this is the best offer that I got there. Is there any chance you'd be willing to go lower than that? And that'll give you a better chance of negotiating a lower price than that. Another reason why you want to be really nice when you're walking out is because maybe there's a small chance that they actually do have a lower price point that they could offer to you. And as you're walking out, maybe they will offer that to you. So to recap the final stage, you either, if you're really not happy and it's not even close to where you want it to be, you walk out, but in a nice way. Or if it's pretty close to where you want it to be, you ask for that final round even number, or you ask for a few extra freebies to be thrown in. And that is the end of your negotiation. And hopefully you either walk away with a good deal or you walk away in a nice way that leaves the door open. I'll leave you with just a few final tips. One is that you want to have time on your side because that'll give you a lot more power in the negotiation. So don't wait until the last minute to buy your computer or your air conditioner or your couch, whatever it is. The second thing, I've mentioned this kind of throughout, but just be nice during the process. These people want to make a sale just as much as you want a good deal, and it won't help the situation if you're aggressive or hostile or use theatrics. So just really be nice and try to reason with them and realize that they are just doing their job. They don't owe you a good deal, and if they do come down in price, it's because they're being nice. So just try to be generous and kind throughout the whole process. And the final third tip is to practice. Like they say, practice makes perfect, and the more you do this, the easier it'll get. The less ridiculous you'll feel when you're giving an offer that's 30% lower than what you actually want. And just practice, practice, practice. Well, there you have it. Those were my negotiating tips. If you can, leave me a thumbs up on this video because it helps the YouTube algorithm. Also, I have to say, thank you so much for the comments you left on my video last week. That was a scary one to put out. So the fact that you liked that video and took the time to comment on it just really made me feel good, and yeah, I appreciate it, so thank you. I will see you next Tuesday where I'll come out with another video on another personal finance topic.